Today, ships are no longer fought and exercised by visual contact from the bridge alone. As everybody who serves with the Royal Navy knows only too well, control is in the hands of the men who work in the darkened operations room, hunched over radar displays, assisted by computers and all the gadgetry of the electronic age.
5-2's hot, sir.
4 Echo, this is Yankee November. Dipper 5-2, hot. 110, Tango Tango, 9, over.
It is these men that play the decisive role, make the split-second decisions that lead to the hunting and killing of the enemy.
Dipper 5-1, joining 5-2 to investigate sonar contact, over.
Of these, the aircraft controllers have a particular importance. For today, a sea war is an air war as well. Aircraft control is divided between the rotary wing and fixed wing controllers. There is also the anti-air warfare officer who coordinates their work.
Remembering, of course, we have helicopters within 15 miles of the ship, so your height restrictions in that area.
Depending on the size of the ship and its particular role, this appointment may be vested in the principal warfare officer, who is in overall charge of the operations room. The ship-borne controller's duties are many and varied. Sometimes he is acting as a telephone answering service, as in the handling of maritime patrol aircraft, and passing the reports through for plotting on the general operations table.
9-4, I hold you on my gadget. Check speed and height.
Over. This is 9-4, 300 knots, 700 feet, over.
Roger, 9-4.
Sometimes the role is that of a traffic policeman shepherding aircraft through occupied airspace.
9-4, stranger. Right, 70. Range 10. Heading 180. Speed slow. Reported height, Angels 10.
Roger. Looking.
At other times, the controller may be integrating an anti-submarine patrol aircraft into the total force. Today, certain aircraft are flying operations rooms in their own right. Anti-submarine aircraft such as the Wessex 3 and the Sea King have a sonar capability.
Golf, Yankee, Romeo, November. This is Big Dipper
650, joining you from the north.
Over.
50, this is Golf Yankee Romeo November. Roger, for identification, make your heading 270, over.
Roger, turning
270. Out.
50, you have been positively identified. I bear 180.
14 miles. You are clear to close me and descend to jump height.
Roger, turning port.
Descending.
50, Roger. Intended employment, plan Oak Tree. My starboard beam, range 40.
My course 180, speed 15, over.
Roger, I hold you on my gadget.
Is 4 minutes. Out. 50, marking tip, out. This is 50, mark tip, over.
This is Yankee November. Roger. 255, range 45.
Another part of the task is giving close control to an anti-submarine attack helicopter.
Half a mile to go. Stand by drop. Drop. Now. Now. Now.
Roger, 2 bloodhounds loose, time 1252.
He could also be controlling fighter aircraft to an interception, an intricate operation in three-dimensional geometry.
240 for bogey 250, range 55.
In long-range air defense, fighters must be controlled to a position from which they can attack the target. Many different types of fighters are used, and the controller must know the exact performance of each one, its maneuverability at operating height, and its present fuel state.
Bogies crossing right, left. Stand by port. Vector port 100. Bogies heading 430.
The permutations are endless. Every problem must be solved by the aircraft controller with safety and accuracy.
Controller, the Nimrod is descending to 700 feet.
The areas allocated to our serial will be...
Each helicopter sortie begins with a briefing by the controller of the captain, the officer of the watch, and the air crew on the tactical aspects, communications, weather, and safety.
Number 1 diversion remains Portland, whose recovery state is affirmative. Safety altitude within 10 miles of the airfield is 2,500 feet. Forecast weather...
This initial brief was compiled by the controller and includes all the details of the task.
The sea state also increasing.
30 minutes before the sortie, the controller will close up, brief the principal warfare officer, and check his equipment. He will do this with the maintainer if adjustments have to be made. But of course, it doesn't always happen like this. Perhaps a sudden casualty. Emergency evacuation is required. Personal considerations go by the board. It's all go. Speed and safety are the essence of such an operation. The casualty is on the way to hospital, but the aircraft controller must stay with it right up to the time the aircraft has landed ashore.
I hold you on my gadget. Vector port 055, climb 500 feet and advise level.
Roger, port 055, kilometre 500.
Pigeons Portland 06020.
Roger, 06020.
Have requested immediate clearance into Portland, also medical assistance.
Much of the work is more routine, but vital for all that. For example, there are ship-controlled approaches, and if the weather and visibility are bad, the fate of the aircraft is very much in the controller's hands.
Stand by operational approach, vector port 080.
Roger, port 080.
Set the QNH 1012.
Roger, 10126.
Check cockpit and report endurance.
Cockpit checked, endurance only 15 minutes.
Check limiting visibility.
Roger, half a mile.
Roger, if not on site at half a mile, break port, climb 400 feet, outbound heading will be passed.
The aircraft is guided to the ship by using increasing scales on the radar display.
Relative wind, red 20 at 25 knots. Vector port 070.
Roger, steady 070.
You're at the gate, reduce 60 knots.
Reducing 60 knots.
You are holding the centre line, stand by to commence descent. At 1.2 miles, commence descent.
Roger, descending.
Left 5 degrees, heading 065, you're right of the line.
Roger, steady 065.
At 1 mile, check 350 feet.
Roger, 350.
At
Quarters of a mile, check 275.
feet.
Roger, 275.
Regaining centre line, at half a mile, check 200 feet, look up for sight.
Roger, on site.
At quarter of a mile, check 125 feet.
FTO control.
A routine operation perhaps, but one demanding judgment and care, for at all times, safety is the most important thing of all. Whether it's a normal mail run or an emergency landing in bad weather, it's all part of the controller's job. But of course, the Navy must always be prepared to attack, and this is where control is really important. And part of it is the integration of an aircraft search capacity into the general plan of operation. It requires intelligent and informed communications between the seaborne and airborne forces. For an attack, the controller liaises closely with the principal warfare officer, and the decision is made on the location of the sonar dip.
Pass that to the WASP on telebrief.
Roger, will do, sir.
He must integrate these airborne sensors into the force. It is the controller who decides when the right position has been reached and who'll pass the order for the engagement of the weapons.
Yankee November, lift is 56.
Spot 140, range 50. Over.
Yankee November, roger.
This is 56. Contact classified POSAB high 3. Over.
The controller has got the WASP quickly airborne. and is now busy guiding it to the target. If the search aircraft is in a more favorable position for the attack, control is transferred from the ship to the flying operations room.
I hold pony 430 on my gadget. Request control for VECTAC. Over.
Roger 5-6, you have control of pony 430.
Now the shipborne controller waits to reassume responsibility as soon as the attack is complete.
430, this is 5-6. I have you positively identified. Execute radar VECTAC. Override. Vector starboard 090. Over.
Roger, 090.
430, this is 5-6. Select 2 bloodhounds.
Setting as brief. Over. Roger, setting set.
430, this is 5-6. My post-op is in your 12 o'clock at 3 miles, tracking 185, speed 10. Over.
Roger, 185, speed 10.
2 miles to go.
Roger.
1 mile to go. Check height, check speed.
Roger, 490. Half a mile to go. Stand by to drop. Roger.
Drop now. Now. Now.
Roger, bloodhound blue, time 1624.
Roger, 430. Freelance.
Investigate. Over.
The controller tells the aircraft at 200 feet.
In the early stages of the career of a would-be aircraft controller, it all seems an impossibly complicated job. But the training is thorough. To begin with, the classroom will play a very large part in your life.
Braking port, and the controller gives him an outgoing heading. If he sees a green sight, he then continues towards the ship.
There are 2 courses, one for rotary and one for fixed-wing aircraft.
The height it's flying. Now, to assist us to achieve our interception, we have...
For the next part of the course, full-scale mock-ups are used, and a computer feeds in all the tactical problems of a war at sea. These simulations give a close insight into the conditions in which the student will be expected to work.
1,500 yards from there.
Now comes the control of fighter aircraft. With the instructor alongside, the student is controlling an interception. There are strangers about, and the student is put under heavy pressure by the instructor. It is an intended part of the course for the instructor to put this pressure on the student. If it came to war, it would be there automatically.
69, Roger.
And the instructor keeps the student on his toes all the time.
Now heading 100, speed fast, 1,000 above.
Why now? We know it's now. Don't waste words.
69, final turn, 180 port. Bogey left 20, range 15.
69, Roger.
69, pigeons, 120, range 60. Over.
69, Roger. 120, range 60.
Vector port, 100, bogeys heading, core 30s.
Too late. You'll be 5 miles astern. Heads up. Now watch at the angle off and range be with a target at that speed and height when you start your final turn.
Left 30, range 11.
Right. Well, why didn't you do it then? Set them up again.
69, next target, 79, next spider.
69, Roger. Target. 79, Roger. Fighter. And there's another thing. Why on earth were you worried about the strangers with your aircraft at 20,000 feet? They were reported at 10,000 feet and with good VMC. What was all the drama? As it was, you got yourself into the wrong position and then turned miles too late.
Seven nine. Vector port, 175. Roger, sense line, range 1.
Out.
Pounds. The fighter has been placed in an attack position astern, 1 to 1.5 miles plus or minus 15 degrees.
Flash.
And splash. Bogey destroyed. are music to the student's ear and good marks for the debrief. But the pressure is kept up. Emergencies are unexpectedly fed into the training.
This is 6-9. Practice pan, practice pan, practice pan. Simulating engine flameout. Flight level 200.
Roger 6-9. Nearest diversion airfield, St Morgan, bearing 250, range 20. Vector port 250, report height passing every 2,000 feet.
6-9, failed to relight.
Roger 6-9, standby airfield details. Duty runway 27, length 9,100, negative barriers, affirmative wires. Approach frequency 265.4, safety height 2,800 feet. Over.
6-9, roger.
The aircraft is now gliding towards St Morgan.
6-9, St Morgan weather, surfaced wind 300, 10 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers in nil weather. Cloud 1/8 at 3,000 feet.
6-9, roger.
St Morgan on centerline, range 10. What height passing?
6-9, passing flight level 120. Switching 265.4. Exercise complete. Continue as type, over. Good, you handled that quite well. But how's about letting the supervisor know? He's the one that's got to alert St Morgan.
Standard procedures are laid down for all emergencies. But in the end, the skill and prompt, intelligent action by the controller is what lives depend on. He is in charge. He is the man on whom responsibility rests. After each session of training, there is a debrief from the instructor.
Your first interception was a disaster. You must know the performance of the aircraft you're controlling. You misassessed the target speed and turned late.
Yes, I know.
Well, get it right next time.
There is an enormous amount of job satisfaction in control. It's as great for the controller to get a pounce and a splash as it is for the pilot to get a kill. After all, the controller did most of it. There is also close liaison with the actual pilots, who are only too willing to discuss the way they were controlled.
How's it going? Not too bad, thanks. I thought your control was pretty reasonable, you know, but some of them not.
Makes a change to...
And of course, the training is not all theory. Student controllers fly and listen to the pilots being controlled by their fellow students.
87, airborne. Roger, 87. Flying straight ahead, call approach, channel 3.
Many different aircraft are used during training so that experience can be gained in their control. On the helicopter side, the students may take to the air in anti-submarine warfare helicopters to be controlled by a student aboard ship. This is one of the main compensations of the job, for it carries, even in training, a large percentage of sea and air time. Helicopter control is different in many ways from fighter control, but the training is much the same.
Okay, yeah, we got that. Consequently, all relative movement there in this mode is transferred into true motion.
411, you're clear to close. Intended employment. 20 minutes of practice emergencies, over.
411, roger.
411, emergency number 4, over.
411, roger.
The student knows he is about to be tested, but he does not know the nature of emergency number 4.
411, standby operational approach, vector port 240, over.
411, roger, port 240. 411, steady 240.
411, confirm heading 240, over.
411, confirmed 240.
Roger, your track indicates 170. Suspect your compass, check it.
Standby compass, over. 411, roger, compasses do not agree, over.
Roger, you have a compass failure. Make all your turns at rate 1, controlled by me.
411.
And so it goes on, until the successful student is proficient in all the various aspects of the job.
Starboard now, over.
411, turning starboard.
And of course, there's the thrill of your first solo. It's just as exciting for you as it was for the pilot. It's an exacting course, requiring special aptitudes. On successful completion and a period at sea, there will be opportunities for some officers and ratings to specialize further in controlling aircraft from our naval air stations ashore. To control its aircraft, the Navy requires very special people with very special skills. What you and the service have got to decide is, are you that very special sort of person?